This is extraordinary. This is part of a former Midland Railway Line. It's been closed for a very, very long time. I'm in the cutting of a long disused abandoned railway in Nottingham. I didn't think this was here. I didn't get to see it. I can see something amazing up there and I want to show it to you. Everyone, so welcome back to another video. I'm in Langley Mill and this is where there's a bit of restoration work going on the Cromford Canal just outside the Great Northern Basin. It's not a canal video today. It is a Midland Railway, disused railway walk day. And I'm going to follow the route of former collieries off in the direction of Nottingham. We've got collieries such as Plumtree Colliery, this Brinsley Colliery. Had a bit of an issue with those headstocks recently. We'll take a look at that. Then we're going to head on to where Moorgreen Colliery was. There also used to be Beauvale locomotive works just there. This is all in that direction there. And beyond that, you've got Beauvale Priory. I'm going to save that for another video. You've also got High Park Colliery and then on to New Watnall Colliery, the other side of the M1 motorway. That also had very well-known brickworks there with some very nice chimneys. So I'm going to show you the bridge behind me to begin with, and there's also a little bit of track work just down there to show us where it once went. Because this bridge behind me I've covered in a previous video, and that has to do with the restoration of the Cromford Canal that is going to use this former track bed. Okay, so just through there is a bridge. I'll show you a closer up of that in a moment. Now we've got some tracks still embedded in the concrete, look just here. It's got the check rails as well, look, one rail and there's the second rail. And that's going to push on below that bridge, and that's the one that's going to turn into the canal. And the Moorgreen Colliery branch joined onto the Erewash Valley Line, just a little north of Langley Mill Station, and industrial shunters could often be seen on this branch. This is an image, look, of the train passing over the Cromford Canal. That'll be Marshall's Lock and Marshall's Bridge in the background. Just to the left, out of shot of this photo, would be where the River Erewash is, and that little bit of track work and the bridge that remains today. Closer look at it, look, so the track bed originally went forward through there off towards Brinsley Colliery. It did split at some point, and that's looking back. That piece of track work is just to the left of that yellow storage unit there. That's not really an old construction. The original route of the canal went further down there, but it was before this road was built, the A610. So just through there, the track bed split into two, and one of them going up towards Brinsley Colliery and the other one up towards Moorgreen. Can't get any further other side of this bridge, so I've got to go back up and around, and then I believe we can pick up part of the track bed. Look on railmapsonline.com and I can show you the route where we're going. It's that yellow one going from left to right all the way across. We're going to begin just here, right next to where the Great Northern Railway once crossed. It's now the A610. That's the red line going from top to bottom. Langley Mill Station being just down here, and the junction for the Moorgreen line just above that. I'll then have to do a small detour, but I'll pick up the line and we'll take a little look at where Brinsley headstocks were, and also the branch that led up to it, before following the track bed as best I can round to where Moorgreen Colliery and the locomotives works were. It's after this we get to my favourite part of the route. Just below Beauvale Priory there is a beautiful cutting to look forward to. It looks pretty much untouched for quite a few decades, with probably only a few people venturing down it, and that's what I've done, and there's a nice little bridge to find. Then we follow the route towards the end where Watnall Colliery was, and also Watnall Brickworks. So now I'm going to follow the route in an easterly direction towards Brinsley. There would have been all manner of tracks down there, around about 4 wide. And here's an example of what it looked like. We've got the bridge in the background, look, the A610 going over the top. On the other side is the Cromford Canal, where we began this video. Around about 1985, I believe this was. So the junction back towards where we came from at Langley Mill is just down there. The branch to Brinsley goes up there. We've got a bit of old trackbed, look, just over there. And I believe this is an image of the bridge it once went over the road. That's set in the early 1900s, I believe, that one. And I can change over to this one by 1985. The line had closed and the track was still down, but not for much longer. I'm currently on the A608. We've got to leave that bit of trackbed behind, but I will pick it up a bit further down, I hope. But now, leaving Eastwood behind, I'm heading into Brinsley to find the site of Brinsley Colliery and the trackbed that led to it. So now on the old trackbed, look at that, there's a nice bubbling stream down here. That would have been a culvert below the railway. That's nice up there, isn't it? It's almost like a double. Recent culvert just there, which wouldn't have been built like that when this line was in operation. To follow the trackbed a little bit, there's not a great deal to see. I think this would have been a bridge just here. See behind it, dips down and then clambers back up over here. Now the trackbed is walkable for probably about another quarter of a mile or so. Little point me following that because it's just a path, nothing at the other end. Now Brinsley Colliery, that opened around about 1842. It carried on until 1934 as a working colliery, but it technically stayed open until 1970 because you could access other pits in the area from this site. But just before our railway got to Brinsley Colliery, there was Plumtree Colliery. That closed in 1912. Quite an old one, that one, wasn't it? And it was operated by the Butterley Company. So this one lived on for around about 22 years after Plumtree Colliery closed. I'm going to walk up the hill. I'm assuming this is some kind of spore heap just there with all the woodland growing on top of it. We'll guess the site of where the headstocks were. So this was the location of the headstocks. You can see remains where there was tied down to the ground. The structure, poly-iron, wasn't it? And for some reason Broxton Borough Council had them dismantled and removed a year or so ago. No real explanation other than something to do with they were at risk or they were a safety hazard. I don't know. Not really looked into it. I just know that they took them away. And it remains to be seen whether they will actually reappear in some form. I can't even see any information boards for it anymore, which is to suggest there's no immediate plans for anything to come back here. The pit was originally sunk to 450 feet and then a second shaft was sunk in 1872 to a much deeper 780 feet. And the tandem headstocks were built with this shaft. At peak production, it was producing 500 tonnes of coal per day, employing up to 361 men, of whom 282 would be working on the coalface. So we're going to leave the headstocks that were behind, leave Brinsley behind. So we've done Plumtree, not that we saw anything there, and we've done Brinsley. Let's just get around here and back onto the trackbed. We're going to push on down there, follow a footpath, and we may get a sign of our Midland Railway off towards Moorgreen and New Watnell Colliery again. Okay, so we've passed the site of two collieries, Plumtree and also Brinsley. Not a great deal to see so far, has there, since we left Langley Mill. But stick with me, the trackbed is just behind me. I'm hoping to come and look at that immediately after leaving where I am now in the field. Brinsley's over there, there's a lot of ponies and farms there, and it has annoyingly got a little bit windy, so sorry if you're picking a little bit of that up. Let's push on that way. We've got the trackbed, Beauvale, locomotive works, and also the site of Moorgreen Colliery. So that line of trees just there, that is our trackbed. The embankment of the A608 is just before that huge hill you can see over there. Brinsley headstocks were over there and the colliery, so that's where we've come through here. This footpath should dive down to the right, and on historic maps it looks like that embankment that we saw is going to turn into a cutting. Right, so that's the footpath I've just come down, and now I'm stood slap bang right on the former Midland Railway track bed. Over there, that would take you to the embankment of the A608 at Brinsley that we saw earlier on. Nothing down there but prickly things and leaves and probably lots of wildlife. You can't get onto it, it's all completely fenced and hedged off all the way around. Now then, this side's different. Look, we could actually walk along it for a little while. It looks like it's a narrow path going through there, so we can follow the route of the railway for probably the first time, you know, the main line other than the stretch up to Brinsley. So I'm going to push down and see where it brings me out. So there is actually a stony surface down, so it is a proper footpath that this bit's been turned into. Not quite sure how far it will go. You should have just seen a bit of it on the drone. It doesn't look like it does go far, but it's something, isn't it? Let's keep going. So I got myself back onto the original track I came from, just up there. Trackbed came across here. You can see that it has been mounded up, but it appears to be, no, there's no way forward, is there? Just there. So we'll have to ditch the trackbed for now and walk around to the point where we'd have got to where Moorgreen Colliery was and the locomotive works. And that line of trees on the left is the continuation of the trackbed that we've just left. A little update looking at the aerial map. So we've come from over here at Langley Mill. Moorgreen Colliery was here alongside the locomotive works and the other branch going down to the bottom. You can walk some of that, but there's not really anything to see. Beyond here, we'll be heading up towards Belvaux Priory. Right, fantastic. Look, we've got a bridge. Look at that. Red brick wall, coping stone on top of that, and a painted green steel bed of the bridge itself. Look, didn't expect to find this. Stonework on the left hand side and also on the right hand side. Look, pretty flooded down below. We can pass below. Look, it's like a trellis kind of design, single track I imagine, and we can come out the other end and it's the same kind of wall as on the entrance. Isn't that just fantastic? Here's an image of the bridge from above. Look, you can see the railings on both sides and the track work is still down. I can jump over to this image and this is taken in the opposite direction, I believe, with the bridge in the far distance. I believe it is used as an access road now, and that is why the bridge is still standing. Looks like it's seen better days looking at that red brickwork, doesn't it? Not sure what is next to us. It looks like some sort of construction materials. That's brilliant, isn't it? I didn't think I was going to see anything. I was hoping for a bridge back there where we saw that farm crossing, and it wasn't to be. This just popped up and it's actually made my day. Now, where all that's built on, it was 1865 right through till 1985, relatively recent, wasn't it? The Moorgreen Colliery was situated just there, round about 1 kilometre from Eastwood Hall. Beauvais Locomotive Works was just the other side, quite a few sidings for the locomotives and wagons as well. The track bed did spread out a little bit around here. That bridge is just there. I'm going to walk around a little bit and hopefully we'll find a little bit more. I'm now on Engine Lane, which is quite appropriate considering the locomotive works was just off to my left, and obviously this was all Moorgreen Colliery land around me as well. Heading up towards a place called Collier's Wood, hoping to find that track bed again. Now the track bed had that bridge going across it right by where Moorgreen Colliery was. It does curve around and head down towards Moorgreen. It could have been walked along, but it was only probably about a 10 minutes walk of just a surfaced trackway. So I've committed to staying up here and heading off in the direction of New Watnall Colliery. This is nice, isn't it? An old tub, probably used in Moorgreen Colliery, or one of the pits around, and a wheel behind it as well. Look, nice little bit of a reminder of the history, isn't it? I suppose that's a braking mechanism and couplings down there too. Have a little look inside. So we've come down from where Moorgreen Colliery was, and that is Moorgreen, that road just there, and I'm actually on the trackbed again. Not sure if I can really go down here. I don't think I can, but we've seen it, so I'm going to try and follow it around and pick it up a bit further up near where Hyde Park Colliery was, that closed in 1954. Okay, found myself back on the trackbed again. So Moorgreen is about a quarter of a mile up there, and I got to that point where I looked at it and thought, no, I can't get down there. I've sort of looped around on a footpath into part of it's like a small nature reserve for children, and I've gone past that so as not to get any of that in. And I've got this nice little cutting, look. I'm not going to go far because respect the privacy of everything going off up there, and I'm not really sure if this is a footpath or not, just down there. I'll show you in a moment. But yeah, you've got that. You've got the Priory just over to the left, and Hyde Park Colliery was over there as well. I'm going to follow this as far as I can and see where it brings me out, because after this we've got to curve around a little bit and head towards the M1. I believe there is a bridge that will take us over the M1 and to the site of the brickworks and new Watnall Colliery. Just over to my left, just before the Priory, was Moorgreen Reservoir. I say was, it's still there. What I mean by was is I believe that was built to serve the Nottingham Canal, which next year, 2025, I'm going to follow that and see if I can get all the way to Nottingham, where it joined onto the Nottingham and Beeston Canal. This is the trackbed going forward in the direction of New Watnall. That says no public access there, then we're going to have to abandon this. Yeah, it does, there's a sign there. So I'm going to respect that. Trackbed carries on. I'm going to try and loop around and we'll pick it up again. Back to the maps again. This is that little nugget of by the nature reserve that I've just been looking at just down here. Now where I've got to head up to next is this little bend up here, almost close to a hairpin, isn't it? And this, from doing the walk, was my favourite section. This is stunning. I can't see any traces of footprints whatsoever, and I got onto it by simply walking along an official footpath. You can see that bridge getting closer. This official footpath just took me alongside the trackbed, dropped down about 3 feet, and I'm in it. I'm on the Midland Railway. Just look at this, it's like it's something out of another world. Look at that bridge just there. Wow, this bridge, look at it. So it would have been kind of occupation bridge, wouldn't it? You see that stonework on the left hand side. It's either collapsed or partially collapsed on the right. I think I can see stone, but there is stonework apparent on the right hand side as well. Look, so it has, looks like it may have just crumbled, and that's where it is, just there. And then all the leaves, it's all random stones all around just there. Yeah, there's random stones everywhere, look, all over. So this, I think, has just crumbled. Look at the way the weather and the wind has worn that way. Some ordinary brickwork in the centre and rock at the top. Yeah, I bet you there's no photos of this one anywhere. Onto the other side, look, it really is quite something. There's that brick, look, so that must have been the formation, the start of the arch going over onto the other side. Stone is more apparent on this side, look. It's lovely that this is here. This was the only image of the Barbara Walker Railway that I could find, and this was the name given to this section of line. Look at the bridge on the top left corner. I can't believe I managed to come across a photo of this. It's brilliant, isn't it? It's truly brilliant. This is looking in the direction of Watnall Colliery, where we're going to head off to after this. And a little look at the map from the early 1900s. The bridge remains that we've just been looking at is dead centre below Robin Hood's Well and Callis Hag. It's a footpath going alongside this trackbed if you want to have a meander along it. be on this quaint little bridge. Look at the cutting opening out. That's really nice, that's really pleasant, isn't it? I had no idea that this was... I knew the railway ran here, but I didn't think it was like this. Trackbed is becoming a little bit shallower now, but still got a nice embankment either side. All the chipped out stone visible just there. It's just so nice to find this, because it has been a little bit short of fines on this old railway, but it has been closed for a heck of a long time, so it's understandable. But we might have actually found the best towards the end. I'm going to attempt to climb out now, because it doesn't go much further than that angled tree down there, and it's quite overgrown. There we go, safely up away from it. That is a lovely find. The footpath is just there, so there's absolutely no trace of it, but I'm stood right where the trackbed once came across. So that cutting, probably about 25 meters over there, or 40 feet, whatever you prefer. That's probably not even an accurate conversion. There's some fields there, and that's where it crossed over, before taking a bit of a tight right, heading over to where the M1 motorway is now, and where New Watnall Colliery once was. Right, it's going to be very noisy because of the M1, of course. I can roughly show you where the trackbed came down. See the corner of that gantry just there? It came across from up there, zoom out again, all the way across, right about just above where the bridge is, and into Watnall Colliery over there. So we've come down from the top and we've headed across the motorway, and you can see the site of Watnall Colliery. We change over to this view, you can still make out the line of the railway where it crossed over, with before the motorway was in fact constructed. Change to this, the partially overlined map, and you can just make out the motorway and the railway before we turn to the old map, and it just shows you Watnall Colliery and also where the brickworks were. And here are some images of the 4 famous chimneys demolished around about 2009, maybe a little earlier than that, but it's nice to see that we've got a record of what was once here, and a photograph when there was all the other buildings and possibly the kilns surrounding the chimneys too. Watnall Brickworks, that would close in 1975. Watnall Colliery opened in 1893, and this was once one of the largest in the area, and it would close in 1950. I bet that was an old setup for advertising the land for lease or to purchase of the colliery, which was all this here, all of that. And once the trackbed did come across, it sort of hit the colliery in the centre, probably a couple of stone throws over there. Clearly I can't get to that, but I'll follow it around. If I can loop into this somehow, I will do. Lots of remains there, look, red brick and stone, bits of concrete in there as well, so a former colliery building demolished there, isn't there? Lots more red brick as well, look, all strewn across the... So there's clearly some sort of building here, wasn't there? There we go, look, so quite a few remains just here. Look, we've walked out into a concrete padded area. This is quite interesting, isn't it? So just look at all this. It's just internal roads, isn't it, going around. So the brickworks had its own little branch as well coming off the line. There's something else to look at over there. We'll go back to that in a moment. Can you see it? Some sort of loading area, maybe where the trackbed was. But around there always used to be those 2 massive chimneys of Watnall brickworks. Concrete wall just there as well, look. And some railings on the top. Such a vast area, isn't it? Look at it all. It's so wide. And still it goes on, look. Look at that. Massive, isn't it? Red brick through there. We'll zoom you in. Can't really make it out, can you? There you go. Almost at the other end. And pretty much back where I started. The motorway and the bridge. It's just the other side of that. I'm going to see now if I can have a look at that area where that first wall was, what I saw. I didn't go quite near it because it sounds like someone's got a hunting dog or something and they're going around continuously blowing the whistle. And I've heard what sounded like, that sounded like a very gentle shotgun fire. So I'm going to be out of here pretty quick, I think. So here is that wall section just there, and there's an upper level, look, it's a concrete pad, and there's a wall just on the other side again with that metal railing on. And closer again, got that red brick on the higher section now, and there's where I walked earlier, just down there, and you've got like coping stones on top. Someone will know what this was just here in this section of the old former colliery. So from this point, after leaving New Watnell Colliery behind the Midland Railway, carried on down, and it would have crossed back over where the M1 motorway was later to be built. Then you'd get to the point again where it would have met the Bentley and Bulwell Railway. That bridge in the field, do you remember that? Right by the M1? Yeah, it gets a mention again. I'll show you on rail maps where it is. So with Watnell Colliery and the brickworks all the way up here, we turn our attention to that bridge I mentioned beside where it crossed where the M1 is today. That yellow line all the way down to the bottom. Let me change it over to this one. You can see where it curves around at the bottom. You got the M1, and the bridge I'm talking about is just there. Let's go to the older map. You can see the M1 has in fact disappeared, but the bridge, well, that would be just here. Look, that roadway. And here is a picture of that very bridge. I'll put a link to the video at the end. And there we have it. We've followed that Midland Railway all the way from Langley Mill. Plenty of diversions in there that you didn't see just to get to all these bits of trackbed. Over 30,000 steps as well, so you know how much I've done. I love finding that bridge right near Moorgreen and the former colliery, and especially that beautiful cutting right before we got to the grounds of the former Watnell Colliery behind me. Any more nuggets like this, please do drop a comment below or get me on Facebook on the Trekking Exploration page. If you could give me a follow on that, that would be much appreciated. It's probably going to be the final one of 2024, this walk will be. But plenty more next year. I've had a few requests to go back to Yorkshire and also do something in Lincolnshire. Drop me some comments below for Lincolnshire. I've done one video in 5 years in Lincolnshire. Let's get a few more in the bag. See you in the next one. Bye for now.